a real conspiracy, though, actually, in the Premier League, giving Bruno that assist. I mean,
I don't know if you at first on fantasy football the assist was given to De Gea, but if it was De Gea, then Cavani was a mile offside. So
so they
they
changed it.
changed it. Isn't that weird?
Which which what that means? It means that the fantasy season rule, unfortunately, is null and void. It has to be cancelled. No winners this year. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I know you've been ahead for a while, but look, unfortunately, we just have a higher standard here.
I had Bruno on my team. That's not fair, no.
Exactly. That's why we have to cancel for you. We can't be giving you points. It's an independent panel has decided. A panel which I head, incidentally, yes, but we've decided that the season's null and void, and it's try again next year.
Honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense. But listen, I've been on that road before.
Nonsense. Talking nonsense. Why should we accept somebody talking nonsense? Like, what would you say? Just why are you talking nonsense about us? Why are you talking rubbish?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast with Cahill and Will. We had some genuine, and I mean genuine, football conspiracy happening. In that, not that we don't know what's happening, we know exactly what's happening. Everybody's in on it, and we just have to grin and bear it because we are just the audience, we are just the plebs, the paying customers. What I'm referring to is a pretty meaningless game at Old Trafford. I mean, literally, United are safe in second, and but you would think with the year that the boys in the V.A.R are having, they would be, like a relegated team, the same kind of mentality. It's like, look, we'll keep it professional, we'll finish out the season strong, try and get some good results. I don't think they're even there. They totally missed this.
Well, I was thinking, I think I'd heard a clip from somewhere of one of the commentators saying, well, look, they're in Old Trafford, it's pressure on the referees. Are the V.A.R referees not in a totally different place?
Yeah, I thought they were in the Stockley Park.
Can they even hear the game?
I mean, honestly, like, it did look like they missed it because they were checking. The V.A.R, I think, were physically there. I'll give them that benefit of the doubt. They were checking the offside, assuming that Hernandez had touched this. And so they're doing the lines, doing the rulers, and then they play like another angle. And then like, you're in control of the angles. You're in control of the video. Like, why didn't you just play it through? It was, I think they had decided, yeah, that's not offside. Pass the word down. And then it's like, oh wait, hang on. There's a clip here. It looks like he didn't touch it at all. In that case, we should be looking at something different. And they went, too late. We can't pull it back any further. And they just let it go. And next, this is when the conspiracy comes in, because for fantasy football players like us, for anybody who follows Premier League stats for no reason, you will see that the Premier League awarded the assist to Bruno Hernandez when it was clear for thousands of people around the world that he did not touch it, but that, like I said, that would incriminate the referees, and that would make V.A.R look stupid.
Yeah.
Not the entire season. That would make V.A.R look stupid. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense. And like, it's fine because it's a meaningless game, but it's the principle of the whole thing. It's like, are they trying to get V.A.R taken out? Because I mean, it just looks completely incompetent in every scenario.
Well, speaking of conspiracy theories, I have one as to why maybe it was allowed. Do you think they were maybe thinking, if we rule out this fucking wonder goal 10 minutes into this game in Old Trafford, they are going to set the stadium on fire with the way things have been going. We cannot risk this. Give them what they want.
Well, that was one of the reasons for reading it out, and that it was a great goal, a great finish from Cavani.
A belter.
Audacious chip, really. Just like it sailed in over him. And
it was weird because it wasn't even a chip. He fucking hammered it over his head.
Yeah, it was like a 4-iron, just kind of like, you know, a solid, like, it's weird. I've never seen a shot at that, to be honest. That actually went in. It was the kind of shot that, like, oh, when the offside goes, and then you go, oh, I'm going to take a shot anyways. I'm going to see something I wouldn't normally do. But he just, So, a great goal. But I mean, nevertheless, it's just kind of like, if V.A.R had been perfect all season, I'd allow it. But because they've been so bad, and there's been so many situations where they've, you know, you're rooting things, and then it just makes no sense. And they go after goals that, like, or like plays that happened, an offside that happened 3 plays previous. They go after that and say, oh no, we can't do for that. And then when there's a clear infringement there, they miss it. Oh, sorry, missed that one. Oh, you missed that one. You know? And like I say, it was a meaningless game. That was kind of the only point from it, to take from it.
Well, United are on the beach, which is worrying with a European final coming up.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays in. I always find that fascinating, the kind of, you know, winning mentality or injuries. One team that had the worst of both worlds was City, who lost, and Gundogan went off injured. And more V.A.R controversy there. There was the Cancelo sending off. The ball kind of came over his head. He missed it. And then the looming figure of Danny Welbeck came over his left shoulder. And he, you know, instinctively stuck out an arm. And Welbeck knew what he was going to do. He was going to get ahead of him, get the ball, and put it wide or get saved. So what he decided to do instead was hook Cancelo's arm and throw his legs in front of his body in the most unrealistic looking dive I'd ever seen.
He did a wrestling hip toss to himself. He took a bump.
It was a poor sell, you know. When it maybe works in the stadium, but on TV, you know, you can really see how bad it looks. And like I say, in real time, I will put my hand and say, "Oh, I thought, oh fuck, he's dragged him down there," because it looks like you've panicked. The ball, you've lost the ball, you panic, you grab him. But in the replay, which V.A.R is specifically there to look at, it's clear that it wasn't, you know, a foul or sending off. And they apologized. They went, and now again, maybe it was like a meaningless game because Brighton are safe and City have the title won. But like, surely that's your job to be like professional and say, well, no, well, that's, in our opinion, that's not if I was reffing that game, and they're all referees. So if they were reffing that game and they had the ability of replay in their minds, they would have seen that and gone, no, that was definitely a drag down. And it wasn't. So, I mean,
that reminds me, did you see the new V.A.R ref? Did you hear about that news?
No, I didn't.
Remember, think back to our old friend of the pod, Lee Mason, who humiliated himself with the Brighton free kick. Remember that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of that.
He's now been demoted, and he's a V.A.R referee now.
Only?
I think so. I think he's just V.A.R. But why are you putting the worst referees in the V.A.R room?
I thought I saw Lee Mason's shiny head there at the weekend. No,
I think he's like I think from next season he's V.A.R only.
Oh, yeah. Kind of like Woodward. Next season he's gone. Lee Mason, what have you done? God damn. But for City, 3-2 loss to Brighton, and I think before the game, Pep was doing this thing, and Pep kind of does this like where he compliments like lower teams who played the right way according to him, but he does it almost to a patronizing degree. And it's like, all right, I mean, you can say they play it well, they play the right stuff, but like, Like we all know that you're a better team. You don't have to pretend. Like it's like you're taking the piss now, and you know that you're not being sincere. And it's just like, come on.
Yeah.
You talk about, it's hard to play Brighton. It's always hard to play Brighton. It's always hard to get results against Brighton. It's like, no, it's not. If it was hard to get a result against Brighton, they wouldn't be relegation. I mean, they might play, possession football, and they play, and they have decent players to do, but finishing has been their problem all year. So you're always going to get a chance. You're always going to put them away. And like he was doing this before the game, and talking about how great they were. And then after the game, you can see him and Graham Potter and all of City staff like angrily pointing wide-eyed at Graham Potter. I was like, Jesus, like I thought he must have said something like, racial or something. The outrage was unbelievable. And after the game, they asked him, I think it was on Match of the Day I was watching this, and they go, what was the thing after the game, Pep, between you and Graham Potter? It's like, what I said to Graham, I stayed between me and Graham. Then I heard cuts between Graham Potter. Goes, yeah, so basically, I celebrated a bit too hard at that first goal, and he didn't like that. So, I was probably a bit overzealous. He hates you even more now, Graham. He thought you had a bond between two footballing managers, people who play the right way, and you ruined it by talking to BBC.
Well, that is the difference between someone who's like the best in the world, done it forever, and kind of new on the scene. Pep is like, if I fucking talk about this, it's going to be the only story for the next week. Everyone's going to be hassling me about it.
Yeah.
Graham Potter was like, yeah, whatever. I look like an idiot. Who cares?
I didn't see him celebrating that first goal, but I mean, it's kind of like, this is the thing. It's like, it's Brighton. You might think that they played the right way, or that they're a proper team. Not like these Real Madrid, but they're mega athletes. Brighton are how you're meant to play with, like, creative football. But like, it is a big deal for him to score. Like, he was not expecting to win that game. He was not expecting to probably score. So I mean, he
scored 3 times.
He over celebrated the first goal, and some of the decisions. I mean, do you see the Lallana tackle at the end? His foot clearly went over the ball and into Jesus, and they went, fuck City. Just decided they're not going to get a call all day. So I can see why Pep was probably mad. But like, don't take it on Graham Potter. Jesus, I mean, take it on the refs. Fine. We all do that. Yeah. But don't take it out on let Graham Potter enjoy his moment. It's been a shaky season for Brighton. They've done well to stay up. I mean, to have a go at him after the game and all your staff coming in. I mean, I thought, fuck that. But not good for them going into a European final either, Will.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get to the Chelsea game. But where Gundogan went out injured, Kante also got injured. So a fair trade, 1-1.
Yeah, maybe. I think probably Chelsea rely on Kante more than they do on Gundogan.
He's been in great form as well. So that's no good if he's out for the final.
And we might talk about it later on as well, but the international call-ups, I was looking at that French team. They look very light midfield. If they don't have Kante, I think that might be a very bad result for them. But I suppose Chelsea and Leicester was the round 2 of the FA Cup final. And it went exactly like I thought the FA Cup final would go. Chelsea just looked much better. Do you think Leicester went on the booze afterwards?
I think they went on not on the booze, but I think that in their minds they went on the booze. They're like, savage. They spent days being like, can't believe we won that. That is class. While Chelsea were like, we're going to kill them. So you have no hope coming into that game. Like,
Chelsea were right on it. Poor Timo. I mean, listen, if I could have, folks, I would have put Timo on my team of the year. I really wanted to. Yeah. But that is just the story of his season. I said after the game, he was like, "It's probably my unluckiest season, maybe ever."
I'd say definitely.
He had 2 goals disallowed. One clearly being offside. The other one, again, V.A.R. All we're going to talk about this weekend. His arm clearly got dragged back. Like, he's going for the header, and then Fofana is like leaning back, holding his arm like he's wrestling a stallion, trying to hold him back. And that's why his arm, instead of his head, puts the ball in the goal. So if you can spot the handball, cannot spot the 6'4" defender dragging out of my man Timo as he's trying to put the ball in. Like, this is the kind of thing where it's like very, very surprising that they missed that, but also the penalty that wasn't given in the game. Like, this is the thing. Like I say, if you can watch the Danny Welbeck one and say, "Oh yeah, well, like I know because I know what a dive looks like, and that's a dive." And the Timo one, he literally saw Tielemans going to kick the ball. He said, "I'm going to stick my foot in front of him here. He's going to kick me. I get a penalty," because that is what the rule is usually. That's always what happens. So you can see that, and you go, "Oh yeah, I know what Timo is doing there. Not a penalty." But it's just the consistency. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to give that that is technically a drag down because he put his arm on Danny Welbeck and he went down, therefore last man back. If you can look at the Timo and say, "Well, I know what he was doing there," you have to be consistent. You can't say, "Well, I'm gonna judge for myself what a penalty is" in one scenario, and then the other one say, "No, just because he kicked her in the back leg doesn't mean it's a penalty." Do you know what I mean?
Also, should you not get a penalty just because you did it on purpose? Like, it's still a penalty. If you get kicked in the leg in the box, it's going to be a penalty. Like,
well, that's what I mean. That's what the rule is. But I mean, I think for Tielemans, he was just like, "I'm going to lash as hard as I can, get rid of the danger in the box," and Timo just snuck in because he's rapid. Like, So I don't think Tielemans meant to kick him, but the rule's always been like that. If you were to do that, you get a free. So I mean, again, maybe it's like a fuck Chelsea thing as well. I don't know. It just seemed like V.A.R was maybe V.A.R celebrated more than Leicester did. Honest to God, it was a strange game, but Chelsea eventually came out 2-1 winners, almost overturned by the inevitable Kalecky Iheanacho.
Man, what a player!
One of my returning segments, like an absentee top six owner, rarely seen, but when they are, it's very special. Makes fireworks. Stat of the week, folks.
Whoa.
A stat that a record I think that won't be broken ever again. I would say, Kalecky Iheanacho is the first player to score on every single day of the week in a single Premier League season. That will never be equaled or broken.
That is a damning indictment of how the games have been this year.
There's layers to that one, Will, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's like Iheanacho's been very good and a consistent score any day of the week.
Yeah.
7 8. What's that saying? Every day of the week I'd have Iheanacho. Every day of the week I'd pick him and he'd score.
7 days of the week, twice on Sunday, as Stone Cold would say.
Yes, that's the record that needs to be broken. So I mean, I don't think that'll ever happen again. I mean, fucking hell, hopefully it doesn't, unless they expand the Premier League to like 50 teams or something.
No Premier League team should be playing on a Tuesday.
Yeah. So yeah, he got one back, but they won 2-1. It does bring the top four race into the sharp focus, I would say. And one thing I hate when I'm listening to podcasts is when they get stuff wrong and they just kind of, they buzz by it or whatever. I think
just the podcast for you.
Yeah, well, if you hate that, you'll hate this. But I'm saying 2 weeks ago, I think I said that it was my gut feeling that it's going to be Leicester, Liverpool, or Chelsea. One of them is going to miss out. I think that was the only mathematical possibility when I said that. Because West Ham and Tottenham have lost the last two. So I'm thinking probably 2 weeks ago, they were probably out. Once West Ham lost to Newcastle and Tottenham lost to Villa, I think it was over then. And then I would go on to say...
I have a
you know what I think? I think, you know what, Tottenham just don't have it in them. It's like, yeah, well, I don't know for sure. If I knew for sure, I wouldn't be having this conversation because I'm not, I can't do basic arithmetic. But the point is now that with one game to go, this is what my sweet spot where I can manage 3 points, given or taken. So it is now definitely Chelsea, Liverpool, Leicester. One of them will miss out. Or scenario C is Chelsea lose, Liverpool and Leicester win, going ahead of Chelsea. Chelsea then win the Champions League, and all three go through. I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest.
No, not either.
And in the case of Chelsea and Liverpool winning, Leicester have a inferior goal difference to Liverpool of 4. So even if Liverpool win 1-0, Leicester would have to win, I think, 6 against Spurs. I'm not sure what the head-to-head is between Liverpool and Leicester. Did Leicester beat Liverpool twice this year, or does it go to head-to-head first? Actually, if it's like if they win by 5-0, even still, if it's 5-0, I don't see Leicester beating Tottenham 5-0.
Tottenham's in a bit
as bad as they've been.
Well, that interview coming out might change things. Half the team might not show up.
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham and West Ham are both in for Europa League.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, Arsenal very much in for Europa League still.
no, Arsenal are mathematically out
What? But sure they
because
won.
West Ham won as well, and I put them out. Yeah, so it's Conference League or bust for Arsenal fans.
Christ.
Which, like I say, when I was talking about the Europa League, I mean, I think the Premier League will get you there as much as the Europa League will. The Conference League is definitely not worth it for Arsenal.
No one knows what it is. No one's heard of it.
So yeah, I think Arsenal are sitting pretty in ninth. I mean, if they could get to eighth, I think I'd take that. But I mean, look, as much as
you don't want that Conference League.
St. Tottenham's Day would be great and all that, but honestly, I think the Conference League is not what you want. So the team, it's like the top four, obviously, and then fifth and sixth are the Europa League spots. Currently occupied by West Ham and Tottenham, respectively.
Yeah.
Tottenham. I mean, will we get into the breaking news as it was about Tottenham?
Yeah.
As soon as we finished recording the last episode, the breaking news was Tottenham had said something to somebody about leaving Spurs. It seemed very kind of loose. And in the coming days, it was reported as fact. And now we know who that someone was. I think we have the clip here. We'll play it. I haven't seen this. Will just sent it before we started, so I'll bring it up.
You know what we should do for this, Carl? Since you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
We'll play it. And I think every now and then, pause, give your thoughts as they come.
Okay.
Does it annoy you, this perception of Tottenham?
Oh my God, they're golfing.
When you are tough, you are a leader, you are resilient.
That's my first remark. Two golf wankers. I mean, not wankers, but golf is not for me, folks.
Carl, where do you think this question is going?
Does it annoy you? Do you annoy me? Yeah, you do, Gary.
And you get people calling the club, whether it be flaky, bottle it in big moments. That must really annoy you. It's someone like you.
Yeah, no, it's hard to hear. But...
Who says that? Who says that more than anyone? Gary Neville.
Well, Sky Sports certainly push that narrative. Yeah.
Does it annoy you when I say you're a team of big fucking losers?
Oh, I hate this. I hate this kind of like informal. Like, just if you don't do the interview, do the interview. You know what I mean? I don't know.
If I'm totally...
do you want to do a sit-down interview? Yeah, that sounds good. Why don't we bring you golfing? I've got other things on my mind at the moment, to be honest.
It's also a bad look if he's discussing his future and he's golfing. It smacks of like, I don't know. I've given everything to this club. Now watch you hit this drive. Like that George Bush interview. That's what it reminds me of. It's like maybe I'm reading into it too much. We play it.
That must really annoy you. It's someone like you.
Yeah, no, it's hard to hear if I'm totally honest. Like you say, we've been so close and things could have been a lot different. But I understand, obviously, we haven't got over the line as a club. We haven't won things. We haven't been dominant. When you could say we've probably had the best team we've had for a very, very long time. But for sure, you hear them comments and they kind of eat at you a little bit inside. But
did they bite you? Did they?
Yeah, they almost get you going a little bit. Yeah. It's almost trying to prove people wrong, and that's been kind of me my whole career in all aspects, really. Like my first season, getting called a one-season wonder and all stuff like that.
Who called you that? You got a name? Which pundit called you a one-season wonder? It wasn't
me.
You
might call me that one day.
It wasn't me. I put you on corners, but I didn't call you a one-season wonder.
No, I mean, but
Gary never put him on corners.
What a twist.
The guy who's going to save football put Harry Kane on corners that Euros. Yeah. When you had Rooney in the box, 5'9" Rooney trying to get the header. What the fuck?
All stuff like, for me, obviously you've known me for England and stuff. I almost not like that pressure, but it gets me going and it brings out the best in me. And yeah, when you hear stuff about your club, it's never easy. Of course, I know what it's like working day in, day out, playing with the players, working hard in the gym, in training to try and win stuff, to try and win trophies. Of course, it hasn't happened, but it don't mean we're not working as hard as anyone else. As a club, we just haven't been able to get over the line. But I mean, look, it's been some amazing moments, some amazing years for the club. So there is some positives there. But of course, my profession is about winning. I want to win. So it for sure grates at me that we haven't done that.
Is that the most important thing for you? You're 27 years of age now. You've got 8-10 years left in your career. That you want trophies, you need trophies, or actually is it more important to you that Alan Shearer at Newcastle, Matt Letizia at Southampton, players who've stayed at a club a long time and they've got that legacy in a different way. What's most important to you?
For me, I don't want to come to the end of my career and have any regrets. So I want to be the best I can be. I've said before, I'd never say I'd stay at Spurs for the rest of my career. I'd never say that I'd leave Spurs. But yeah, I just want to be the best version of me, and I feel like for sure I've still got so much more to give. I feel like I can be even better than what I've been. I can produce better numbers than what I'm producing at the moment. So
Can you?
I feel like I can. I've said before, and people are like, I'm someone who I'm not afraid to say I want to be the best. I'm not afraid to say I want to try and get on the level that Ronaldo and Messi got to. That's my ultimate goal. That's my aim, is to be winning trophies season in, season out, scoring 50, 60, 70 goals season in, season out. 70. And that's the standard I want to set myself, because I feel like if I give myself anything lower, then I might get to the end of my career and be like, actually, I could have maybe done a little bit more. I could have scored a few more goals. So that's my drive. The pressure from myself is always bigger than what anyone else can put on me. And then, like I said, I still feel like I've almost got another career to go and achieve what I want to achieve.
With Tottenham...
I mean...
Damn, that is damning. That's
He has another career still to play. You mean at a different place?
Yeah, it feels like he's done to me.
Yeah,
huh?
he's finished. I never said I'd stay at Tottenham. I think that's what a contract is, bud.
I never said that. I never said stay here forever. Yeah, I mean that feels like he's kind of
really pushing it on to the fans that are saying, not me, I don't care. It's the stupid fans.
Yeah, it's kind of like counter intuitive in a way. It's kind of like, oh yeah, well I'm not desperate. I'm not, I don't care. But in another much more real way, I do care, and I want
to score 70
goals.
Trophies. But whatever.
And I want to be the best. And that's what he's implying there, is like, that his kind of ambitions is to be the best, and he's just going to pick the best option for that. Kind of implying that if that isn't Tottenham, then it isn't Tottenham. But is there much more to it, or is
that's pretty much the gist. The rest of it is kind of the same thing. That was the juicy bit, though. But yeah, man, you can't play him in the next game.
I don't know. We were saying this last week that if the City model and the Chelsea model is that you need to stack your team full of players, then there's anywhere you could go. Where would you go if you were him?
I mean,
just assuming that everybody has they're in for Harry Kane. Like we were saying, Real Madrid could do refresh up the team.
It's a lot of money, though. It's a lot of money. I think really the only teams that can afford them are United, Chelsea, and City, and Tottenham won't sell to Chelsea. I'd imagine. I'd assume that's a thing. Same way United wouldn't sell to Liverpool, like.
Yeah, I can't think the last Spurs player went to Chelsea.
No.
Can you?
I think it's just not a done thing. Yeah.
No. Although how many have been worth going to Chelsea? I suppose it is mad. Like it's such a long season that you forget that. Obviously, it's a shorter season technically because it played more games closer together. But I mean, the stuff that happened at the start of the season. I think when people were doubting Pep and all that stuff. How has this happened to them?
Yeah.
How have they gone from and he said they're probably their best team in recent memory, maybe the last 20 years in terms of just overall, like the level of defenders they had, midfielders, like the attacking players they had on the books there between, like Dele Alli is the strangest one. I don't think you can place it all at Mourinho's door. You have to take some kind of personal responsibility for it as well. But I mean, how have they messed up such a good crop of players?
Yeah, it's crazy. Even in the last few, I mean, we always say that they were top in December, wasn't it? Harry Kane and Son were scoring 40 goals a game. It felt like, but it's such a fall.
Start of January in around that, they were still well in it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were. Oh yeah, well they might do well to get top four. They were banging in goals. Kane and Son had really started to put goals in. That's probably when the fatigue first started setting in for teams, I think.
Did you see Levy's statement? I think I sent you that as well. The club lost their DNA and stuff.
Yeah. That was a strange one too.
He must have known that Kane news is coming out then if he's putting out a statement like that.
Well, we're talking about the top four there now. I mean, the top four teams are City, United, Chelsea, and Liverpool, the four biggest clubs by revenue in England. So I mean, of all the crazy season and it's anybody's game, and West Ham and Leicester and Spurs at one stage, in the end, it's just like the biggest teams, the biggest squads. Nothing has changed really. Like if Harry Kane leaves, it will be long before Son leaves. Dele Alli, I think, probably needs a change of scenery there as well. So I mean,
and then how attractive a club is Spurs without Kane and Son for other players, like, and then if they're not in the Champions League as well, that's tough to come back from. Same as we were saying with Arsenal, like when you don't have any Europe, that's tough to crawl back out of.
Yeah, and they look like they might get the conference. I mean, they're hoping that they get knocked out of the conference qualification because I mean, it's a very strange one, the Kane and the Tom situation, because they just have, like we were saying before, probably the worst season forever because it was such the hope was there. They had a real chance to win the Europa League. They had a real chance of challenging for the league. I mean, they got knocked out of the FA Cup. Was a quarterfinal or semi-final around that stage, and then the Carling Cup, or the League Cup was a disaster for them. You know, I saw a tweet. It was like when Ryan Mason said, "We need to treat every game now like a cup final." And I went, "Oh, not that cup final!" Like the way they lost to Aston Villa, like it was just shocking stuff. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know enough about Spurs to pinpoint why it's all seemed to completely fall apart in them in the second half of the season, but it's really, really bad stuff there.
From that interview, it felt like just the things he was saying, it really sounded like the best club for him is Man City, where he can just win. He'll have everyone fucking assist him. He can score 50 goals if he wants. Like, it's just that's.
Do you think Pep wants that though?
I don't know. And City, I know City spend a lot of money, but I don't think City really spend like all their money on one player ever. They usually buy like 5 players. They spread it out, like, and it works better for them that way. I don't know if Pep's going to be up for a whole window used up on one player.
Yeah, although I don't know what the situation was with the money. I see. I don't know. Maybe they can. If Pep was to win the Champions League and the league in the same season, they might say whatever. But I think more does Pep want, like, you know, you've seen how he's treated Jesus and Aguero this season. You know, I don't think there's like City have a buyback clause on Galecki Iheanacho. I would say buy that house in Leicester, Iheanacho, because City, you know, Pep has mentioned him. You know, to spend 100 million, and like if you're going to buy Harry Kane, like you're kind of setting your team around him. I just don't think that's Pep's move.
Yeah, that's true. That's a lot of money to be leaving out, and as well, you have to fucking listen to it if you leave him on the bench because you don't want a striker in that game.
Yeah, every season they're saying, oh, you know, every game it's like, what about Harry Kane? You think he's find a place? It's like because every player this season has been rotated.
Yeah.
But like if it was Harry Kane, England's captain, England's best player, not playing, that gets a question every week. So Pep doesn't see him as the jewel in his team. If he doesn't think I'm going to build my team around him, then I don't think he'd bother. I don't think he'd want this. And I think he'd say, look, if United have him, if Chelsea have him, doesn't matter. You know, we'll still beat them. So I don't think he cares at all about Harry Kane. Chelsea, as much as I love Timo, I think Harry Kane would be an upgrade.
They would do very well with Kane. But I just don't think they do business together because they're rivals.
And then you have United then?
It has to be United next year. And I have no faith in Man United to get that deal over the line. No way. They've struggled to do. Remember, it took them all summer to get Harry Maguire, and then they paid more than the original fee was at the start of the summer.
Yeah.
That's just not their. They're not good enough to pull that off. They might get him. They might get him next summer after he's had a shocking season at Spurs.
But what about further afield? What about Bayern Munich? What about Real Madrid, Barcelona?
So I think they're all
Juve.
I think Juve, Barca, and Real are all still in the Super League because they're desperate for money. So I don't think they're going to buy anyone, like, especially 100 million player, like, or 120, whatever the fuck.
Well, Mbappe certainly thinks he's going somewhere. Did you see his quotes after the cup final win for PSG?
Yeah.
Poch's second trophy there at PSG. He won both the cups. Interviewer Will you be fighting for a 15th Coupe de France title next season with PSG, Kylian Mbappe? Smiles, in parentheses. I think the most important thing is to enjoy the moment right now. Which, unless he's just, trolling, unless he's just, fucking with them, seems like something you would say if you didn't want to explicitly say I'm leaving, but you didn't also explicitly say, yes, I will be here next season, because you're not.
Yeah. Well, it's also probably just good business sense to not be like, yeah, I'll be here no matter what. And then a week later be like, I want to go to Madrid. They're going to be like, no, you said, mate.
Well, it's business sense if you don't want to stay at PSG. And that's kind of what it says. It's like, if he knew he wanted to stay at PSG, like Neymar wants to stay at PSG, he's on the contract, he's staying. So he'll say, I'm going to be here next season, of course. Mbappe is not saying that. He's saying, hey, look.
We'll see how it goes.
Life is a roller coaster. You just got to ride it. Are you quoting Ronan Keating, Kylian Mbappe?
Ronan Keating.
So, yeah, he'd probably think he's going to go somewhere. I mean, usually it's Real Madrid or Barcelona is the next step up from, you have all the money you want at PSG. So, I mean, where you want to go, if you're not going for money, you're probably going to one of the big clubs.
And I think his whole thing has always been Madrid, hasn't it? Like, because he's, remember that picture of him with all the Ronaldo posters around him and stuff like that? Like, I imagine that's the move.
So as much as Real Madrid are maybe struggling for money or in debt, I mean, look, we saw the fans in the stadium this weekend. It won't be long before they're back up and running. The Madrid machine, the Barcelona money make machine, they'll be back up and running. So if they need to take out 100 million from the bank, they know that they're good for it. You know what I mean? So I think it might be down more to Harry Kane. If, like you say, City don't want them, Chelsea, Levy won't sell them. United are
incompetent,
fucking twiddling their thumbs, messing it up. And then you're thinking, okay, right, so if I'm not going to any of them, and it's either that, or it's either go abroad or stay at Tottenham, what do you think he does? Do you think he says, assuming we'll say that one of Bayern, Juve, one of them, Barca, Real Madrid are in from, what do you think he does? Think he stays where he goes?
I'd be surprised if he wanted to give up the record now, the sheer record, like the talk of his whole career. I'd be surprised if he just is like, fuck it. I'd imagine that's something he wants to do, is beat that record. So I think he maybe might do another season at Spurs, similar to Ericsson, where they were like, we got him for another year, and then he just didn't perform all year. He couldn't give a shit, and then they'll get rid of him that way. But I don't know. I couldn't imagine going abroad. I don't know. He doesn't seem like that type of player that's too interested in that for some reason to me.
Well, I remember being shocked when I saw Trippier going abroad.
That's true.
He was like similar age at the time. He was at Burnley, then to Spurs. And I was like, yeah, he's destined for that Chelsea bench. At that age, like a proper English guy. And then I was like, oh, fuck, you went to Atletico Madrid. Like that's not Real Madrid or Barcelona. I was like, Atletico Madrid, kind of like the underdog in Spain. Nothing guaranteed. I was like, damn, like that's a left field kind of choice.
Kane is probably going to see him win a La Liga now.
Well, that could be that could swing if he sees, a former teammate.
He's like, Trippier. Trippier is lifting La Liga.
Well, it just makes it the whole thing easier. If you if you see somebody do it, any of the lads who took up MMA after seeing Conor McGregor, it's like, when you see someone from your country or from your town do it, it all becomes so much more real. It's like, oh, I could do that now. It's like you could always do it. You have the exact same opportunity to do now. Like nothing's changed really. So if he sees Trippier going over there being successful, and he has been pretty successful individually, but if he wins the league over there, he's thinking, again, this is all reliant. I think if there was an option to England, he would. But I think after this interview, saying that I never said he was going to stay at Spurs, and then he stays at Spurs,
the fans aren't going to want that either. Like,
well, it's not even the fans. I think the whole team, the whole atmosphere. It's like, oh, so like we're saying, too big for the club. This guy all season comes out of this interview. Oh, and now he's staying because no one wants you. You don't want to go back to work there, do you?
That is, to be fair though, that was a great move by him, because you cannot stay at Spurs after doing that. There's no way. Like that has forced the hand, because I'd imagine even the most diehard fans of Kane at Spurs now would be like, oh, fuck off then. Like why would you want that at your club?
I don't know. You'd be surprised. I think if he stayed and they managed to keep Kane and Son and Dele Alli and all that, they went one more year and they got a good signing themselves. I don't think they would care. I think if it all fell apart and he was still there next season and he didn't have a good season, that's when they turn on him. You know.
And I don't know if you saw as well, but not to pile on Spurs, but they had quite the week because that happened. You know the way the fans were back for the first time?
Yes.
They were charging the most in the league for their fans to be back. I think it was twice as much as any other club.
Ooh.
And then they sat the fans up in the upper tier rather than close to the pitch so that the sponsor banners would still be on show.
Nice.
Very
the shrewd businessman Daniel Levy strikes again.
We said this before. Like, is he dumb?
Yeah, I mean he gets a lot of credit for it, but like it's funny how the winds can change, and he goes from like, oh, the shrewd businessman, you won't get anything off him easy, to billionaires are bad, and he's one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
You know, and all these stories then come out, it's like, oh yeah, he's a really bad, selfish man. So the like you're saying, that's kind of the top four, the European spots. It's going on to the last day. It's hard to know what people even want. The Champions League is great. Obviously, everyone wants that. If I had to choose out to put my get off my fence, I would say Liverpool. That's probably a safe bet to say, but yeah, I would say Liverpool will get it. Leicester will be fifth. I think West Ham will get that sixth spot, Europa League. And I think Everton are going to the conference.
You think Tottenham and Arsenal are both going to fuck it up in the last day?
Well, I think if Leicester win, that would mean Tottenham losing.
True.
Because they play each other. So I think they will lose. I think Everton are playing City. And after the defeat to Brighton and the loss of Gundogan,
they're going to be playing the kids.
The Champions League in 9 days from now, when the game's on. So they don't want any more injuries. They're going to want to wrap their best players. I mean, Phil Foden had a great game for them, but they're going to want to wrap him up in cotton wool. So I think Everton get the result there. Leicester will beat Tottenham. West Ham will beat who are they playing? Southampton, definitely 9-0. A third 9-0 for
We
Southampton.
will never lose 9-0 for the fourth time.
That'll be a hell of a stat of the week. The only team to lose 9-0 three times in one season and not sack their manager. Yeah, and Arsenal, unfortunately, I think who they playing the last day? Palace?
No, Liverpool of Palace. In Hodgson's last game, actually, you forgot to mention.
Yeah, Hodgson, he's gone. He's retiring, waddling off to the sunset.
What a legend! I always really liked Hodgson. A lovely man.
Former England manager. That was the maddest shit ever. Remember, he was like the Liverpool manager, and it was just a disaster. And then he became West Brom manager, and it was like, so they were. I mean, West Brom were up and down anyway. So I mean, I've rarely seen anybody do really well with West Brom, but nevertheless, it was nothing too impressive. And it was the same year that Harry Redknapp was having the managerial season of his life with Spurs. He got them from relegation into Champions League, and they got knocked out the year Chelsea won it. But everyone was saying, oh yeah, Harry Redknapp, his contract's up at the end of the season. England manager-elect. And towards the end of that season, Hodgson signed a contract with West Brom saying that he'll stay on as West Brom manager, provided he doesn't get the upcoming England job. And people were like, why would he put that clause in? No one has been talking about him in the England job. Everyone's been talking about Harry Redknapp. And then out of nowhere, boom, tax scandal for Harry Redknapp. Oh, he's unfit now. We couldn't possibly make him England manager. Who will we turn to? Roy, are you busy? Well, just you might ask. I actually have a clause in my contract for this exact scenario that I didn't know was going to happen.
If we can put on our conspiracy hats again.
Mm-hmm. Never take it off, brother.
I think I know who leaked the tax fraud information.
Who?
Roy Hodgson. He knew that he put that in his contract.
I think Roy Hodgson was a pawn. That's my theory. I think the FA were like, no, fuck Harry Redknapp, wheeler, dealer, manager. No way. That is not our thing. Roy Hodgson, proper English gentleman, real FA man. Because, the team was quite poor at the time. It was the end of the golden generation, if you remember. The 2010 World Cup was kind of the end of that.
And if you were to believe England, the start of the next golden generation, as they all are.
and it was Redknapp was going to be the man to lead us. But yeah, that aside, he's had a pretty okay career as a manager, a long career, which I guess means something. Managed the likes of Inter Milan and Liverpool. His last game, and another England manager's last game.
Who's that?
Big Sam.
Oh yeah,
Still counts. Still counts. One game still counts. Like I say, he got all the way to the job, and the FA hadn't managed to. He was squeaky clean. Clearly, they couldn't find anything on him, so they had to set something up to get Big Sam out of that job. And all it took was a pint of wine and a fake sheik to offer him a kickback, and just like that,
he
was
literally
gone.
he took the first kickback he was offered.
I mean, and after the game, they lost to West Ham 3-1 in the end. Souček scored and Cresswell got the assist. I refer you back to my team of the year, everybody, just so you know. So they lost to West Ham, and they've been relegated for a couple of weeks now. So obviously, Big Sam, magnanimous as ever, came out and spoke after the game.
Unlike Mikel Antonio's statement that I just heard before he came out here,
what did he say?
Saying we got big men that just played in the Channel. He just insulted me and my team. So I know he's a nice lad, but it was disgusting what he said. So I think he should have go back and watch the game and see how we really played. I mean, our front two are 5'10" and 5'9". So I don't know what big men he saw running in the Channel.
That's big enough for me.
That's what that is.
It's average height. It's perfectly average height.
It's even a bit above average, to be honest. So
depending what country, yeah, definitely.
That's a big man. 5'10's massive.
They're, I mean, if they can grow into the jersey, I think they're
You say this is not for you, and you're sort of happy with Mr. Short Term, Red Adair, but are you not more than that as well? Look
a little bit more than that for the last 6 or 7 years, because that's what all you lot talk about. So you never talk about anything else. Just like Mikel Antonio just said, it's Sam with long ball. It's Sam the way they play. It is a load of crap, and it always has been a load of crap, because I've never played the same way at any football club I've ever been at. And if you thought that was long ball today, then somebody is deluded. Now, we played long ball against Liverpool because it was the right way to play and should have got results against them. They didn't like it, but it shows everybody if you play a simple game against Liverpool, you can get at them, you can get behind them, and you can get chances. They're going to beat Burnley 3-0 tonight. They were dead lucky to beat us the other night. Dead lucky. Today, West Ham didn't deserve to beat us 3-1, but that was our fault, not anybody else's.
So if you're being pigeonholed, why not stay? Why not continue
because
prove people wrong?
I have made that decision, and I've made that decision, very difficult decision to make on the basis of what the West Brom have tried to help me with and what they've tried to do and what I've tried to do for them. But unfortunately, I didn't expect to come here and be sat here talking about this or stood here talking about this. I expected to be talking to you with still a chance in the last game of the season to stay up, or 2 games before. That's not the case. So we've come to a decision. That's the statement. There we go.
He was kind of holding down the emotion there. I mean, look, the first time he's been relegated, he has kind of got a bit of a raw deal. He doesn't help himself. I'll say that much. I mean, I have a little clip here. They'll play that really kind of. This is what when he's long gone. This is how I will remember Big Sam.
Jose was pretty scathing about your performance.
He can't take it, can he? He can't take it. He just can't take it because we've out-tacticked him, we've outwitted him. You know what I mean? He just can't cope, can he? So there you go.
He said he told you as well.
No, he did. He can tell me all he wants. I don't give a to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I love to see Chelsea players moaning at the referee, trying to intimidate him. Jose jumping up and down, saying we play football, we play into it. It's brilliant when you get a result against him. So, hard luck, Jose.
That was after a 0-0 draw.
You know what that reminds me of? That is, I think Sean Dyche sits at home watching Big Sam interviews, taking notes.
Well, that's the thing. Sean Dyche stops just short of being unlikable. Like it was great there. Like look. I mean, his smugness of the face on so like I say after a 0-0 draw with Chelsea, that we've out tacticked him. It's like that. Like you say, he has got a raw deal in terms of the long ball trope that have been thrown at him. He's predominantly worked with relegation teams, and I mean, really, for like half the teams in the Premier League, at least, their goal, if not their main goal, is to stay up. Like some of them would say, it'd be nice to get in the top half, but also staying up is the main target. He's always worked in the lower half of the season with lower half teams, like I say, predominantly. He did a great job, Bolton. Got them up and made them a really kind of a solid Premier League fixture in the league. Bolton were kind of a Premier League team you would think are going to be there for a long time. He left them, and where are they now?
Yeah.
So I mean, he did a good job, Bolton. West Ham, that's probably one you'd say that's kind of a bigger step up. You can do that one. That should be like, look at the job Dave Moyes has done. Was he that level? I don't know, but he didn't play long ball all the time. You know what I mean? Like Everton was another job he got that didn't last very long. I would say he's kind of a pragmatic manager. Like you say, he doesn't play just long ball stuff. He does kind of, what players do I have?
That's how you have to play, like, to get a result. Like you said, it worked against Liverpool.
Like he was at the forefront, really, of kind of analysis and like I think he was when he's a player, he spent a brief spell at the Seattle Rowdies, and the NFL team also used that training ground. That's where we saw like analytics and all that kind of stuff. This is like 20 years ago, before the American sports, there's so much more money into them. They're always way ahead of the curve, that kind of stuff. So that's what he brought over when he was managing Bolton. Then he said, I think one thing was like, it's simple. It seems simple now, but like analyzing, where the ball fell after a long ball up, so that those players would be in that position. And that's kind of like just bread and butter now. And it's kind of more, once you can innovate at one stage, but once every catches up, then you lose your advantage, kind of thing. So he was ahead of the curve at one stage. It wasn't that he was like, 4-4-2. That's the only way I play. I think he's always been open to change and play the right way, but he just hasn't had always the best players. I mean, the real opportunity was obviously the England job. He would have had some really good players at his disposal there to play whatever way he wanted to. He kind of, he fucked it up. So I can see him there getting a bit emotional because he's been relegated now. But that's literally all he had to hang his hat on, that he was a relegation guy, and now he's been relegated. So it's like that suits us. So I mean, yeah, you would feel sorry for him at times, but then you see an injury like that just to kind of balance out, and you go, yeah, all right, man. You're enjoying this 0-0 victory a bit too much, saying you out tacticked him, which I don't think is even a word. I think it's even a verb, is it? You just made it up.
I mean, Chelsea were known for like winding up the refs and stuff. But for some reason, the way he said it, in my mind, I was thinking, oh, the refs definitely got something wrong.
Yeah. So kind of a weekend of goodbyes, really. You got Roy Hodgson, Big Sam, Harry Kane. They're all leaving. They're all gone. Yeah, like I said, the league is done. It's just these kind of side plots now that we have to kind of review and look into. So I guess that kind of brings us on as the season does come to a close to the upcoming Euros, and we've had some team announcements, international team announcements in the last few days. There's life in the old dogs yet, Will. We were talking about them earlier on the season. Thomas Muller and Matt Hummels have been recalled to the Germany squad, and Karim Benzema has been recalled, much more surprisingly, to the French squad. I thought his goose was cooked, honestly.
Like, what was his story again? Wasn't it like a ransom case?
Yeah, Matthew Valbuena had a sex tape, which, I mean, how things change so quickly. I mean, now he'd be making millions off that in OnlyFans. But back then, if you can cast your minds back to 2015, this was the worst thing that could have happened to Valbuena, because he was then being blackmailed by a criminal gang who, for some reason, knew Benzema and said, "Will you be the guy, the go-between between us?" Now, maybe there's something on Benzema too. I don't know. I'm assuming there's probably something like that. I don't know why Benzema would do that voluntarily just to help these guys out. I'm sure there's something on Benzema too. But essentially, he got caught up in this blackmail of a teammate, a French teammate, Valbuena, and a criminal gang over a sex tape.
It's quite
And, it's very unbecoming of a French star to be doing that to anybody, never mind a teammate. Again, we don't know what Benzema was in for. Evidently, it wasn't worth saying what they had on him to get out of it. He said, you know what, fine, I just won't play for France ever again, rather than my secret gets out. And that was Deschamps who did that. And of course, we all know what happened in Euro 2016 with Giroud fucking, not being able to run. And they losing that. And it seemed like a big mistake. But Deschamps was like, you know what? I'm not going to recall him. I don't need to. And I guess the French FA backed him. And then the World Cup came around and they won that. So it seemed like, well, I guess that's what really matters, the World Cup. And now he's been recalled.
Because he's good.
But Giroud is still in the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's any worse or better than it was at the last World Cup.
I mean, what does Valbuena think of that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't exactly know what the exact reason was at the time. Was it because Valbuena was in the team, or was it because it's bad form? I don't know. But apparently they had a long conversation, Deschamps and Benzema.
I bet the conversation was something like, you're really good now this season. Last few seasons I probably got away with not bringing you. Now you'll probably fucking score loads of goals.
Well, he's been playing unbelievably well, and I think he has been for the last while as well. I think he's had a really good season and that. But I mean, with Ronaldo gone, all the focus has been on can he do without him? And he can, of course he can. And I mean, the French team, it's a bit light up front. In terms of number 9s, it's light. I mean, they have Griezmann, they have Mbappe, they have Tolisso, they have Ben Yedder, and they have Giroud. But I think as out and out number 9s, you can't look past Benzema. Like, even the world, I mean, to have one of the best strikers in the world eligible and not playing, it does seem a bit strange. But the funny thing is the comments that he made about Giroud when he wasn't picked that time.
Yeah.
A race car and a go-kart, and now Giroud's still in the squad. Anything else, Will? Anything else you want to?
Carl, I do have some bad news.
Okay.
Carl, I think I'm leaving the pod. Because I want to win podcast trophies, Carl. I want to win podcast awards.
I think we're very close, Will. Right, we're right there. We're a few more bits away. We're 1 or 2 bits away from really challenging for those trophies.
I want the podcast record.
Is it more money? Is it better equipment? What are we missing? What can we do for you here, Will, to keep you at no nonsense?
I don't see movement in the podcast. I'm ready to go.
And bear in mind, you have a 17-year contract signed with me personally. So
yeah, but what does that really matter, though?
Well, I mean, off the ball, I'm going to have to put a very generous offer to get you out of that contract. I say that much.
Yeah, but I just don't want to do it anymore here. I want to go somewhere else.
Well, they say it's better to have a happy podcaster than an unhappy podcaster bringing the mood down. So with that in mind, you will honor your contract and you will do the 1,000 more episodes that you're contracted to do. So help me God.
I'll be back in a sec. I'm just going to do a lap of honor in my room.
Oh, okay, yeah. Could this be his last episode? Yeah, what a prick.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense. But listen, I've been on that road before.
Nonsense. Talking nonsense. Why should we accept somebody talking nonsense? Like, what would you say? Just why are you talking nonsense about us? Why are you talking rubbish?